And now, a brief word from Bear Bites.
I'm a firm believer of the butterfly effect. You know, changing one small thing in the past could have huge consequences for the future. We've all seen time travel movies, we get the deal. So what if I told you that an old school B-movie horror comedy that was made with the budget worth of a stick of gum is partially responsible for the state of modern film? Like, the Disney we know would potentially not even exist. Well, I'd like to introduce you to 1960s cult classic, The Little Shop of Horrors. The Little Shop of Horrors was created and developed by movie legends Charles B. Griffith and Roger Corman. The latter of the two is probably more familiar to you guys at home given the fact that he's the king of B-movies. This guy knew how to churn out small budget flicks in record times that did financially well. His legacy is something that goes way outside of the scope of this video, but needless to say, he was in his normal shenanigans after his most recent film, A Bucket of Blood. His studio, AIP, offered him to make that film with a $50K budget in under 5 days, and he ripped that sucker out. The tone of that film was unique. It was a horror movie with a comedic twist, something that wasn't really played around with much at the time. In those days, even the cheesiest horror movies wanted you to take it seriously, blobby monsters, bad effects and all. In a move that helped gain Corman the reputation as the cheapest filmmaker in Hollywood, he decided to use the exact same set used in A Bucket of Blood. Seriously, like, look at these back-to-back shot comparisons. This is where Griffith comes in, a mainstay in a lot of Corman productions. Griffith wrote such classics as Attack of the Crab Monsters, Rock All Night, and a little unknown film called Barbarella.
What is Barbarella? What's It's only the greatest space fantasy movie probably ever!
Excuse me. Could you tell me how to get to the 12th corridor?
Griffith was given the job to come up with the idea for this movie, and he wanted another go at the horror comedy angle. After a drunken weekend of arguing and pitching, Corman and Griffith came out of the bottle with the premise of a plant that has a taste for humans. Maybe taken from a book by H.G. Wells. With some of the cast returning from A Bucket of Blood, and even Griffith's family joining in on the fun, the production was set and kept at a lightning pace. Multiple cameras were set up for editing ease, and the whole thing was cranked out in around 2 days? Yeah, you heard me right, 2 days. I can't even get one of these videos done in that amount of time, let alone a feature film. So what do we have to work with here? The Little Shop of Horrors is a very simple story and concept to understand. Taking place in Skid Row, a lovely name I know, we follow a botanist named Seymour who works for a down-in-its-luck floral shop run by his boss Mushnick. Luckily, Seymour's got just the thing, a strange Venus flytrap-looking plant that he got from a random Japanese gardener. It's given the moniker Audrey Jr., and it's not very impressive, and Mushnick gives Seymour a week to get the plant to truly start to bloom. Overnight at the shop, after a mishap, Seymour figures out that the plant has a taste for human blood.
That's the best I can do.
More!
But I'm already anemic.
Blood turns into limbs and then full people. What starts as coincidental murders turns into planned intent to feed the plant. The Little Shop of Horrors, while not being the best film or the most gracefully aged, still has a lot to go back to.
This is Radio KSIK. You've been listening to Music for Old Invalids. Our next selection is entitled Sick Room Serenade.
It's a genuinely funny movie and got me to laugh a few times. My favorite bit was with this reoccurring older woman that comes into the shop to keep buying flowers for her dead relatives.
My sister's nephew Stanley died in Little Rock, Arkansas.
I'm not joking, this woman comes in every day because someone she's related to dies in a horrific way.
My Uncle Marsh's brother Yanko just passed away in Tenafly, New Jersey.
It's so surreal and quick, but it was really entertaining to keep up with.
My nephew Frankie just lost his little boy.
Oh, that's too bad. How did it happen?
He was playing with matches.
There's also this guy who loves eating flowers, so humanity got its revenge, I guess? I don't know, but uncouth moments like this really pull me in. Call it a guilty pleasure, but the movies I tend to come back to are the ones that wear its flaws on its sleeves. A flawed B-movie that's entertaining? No way, somebody call Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Well, I named it Audrey Jr.
You named it after me! Oh, really?
man. I'm genuinely excited.
Okay, about the flaws. I didn't know about this going into the film, but the story is framed like a detective talking about a past case, but that doesn't really have a payoff or effect on the plot. In fact, you don't even meet them until around 30 minutes into this hour-long movie. But I can excuse all of this. This isn't high art or wasn't meant to be. Is it entertaining? Yes, I would 100% say that. This era of film has one of the many strong points of being unapologetic in what it is, Corman to a T. There's no backpedaling or making fun of itself, it's just a movie that is here to give you a good time. I'd definitely say for you to give it a shot. It's in the public domain after all, so put it on for free if you have the time and like these kind of B-movies.
Listen, Mushnik, I haven't got much time. Send me over 2 gladiolas and the fern.
Excellent. That's 2 dozen glads, 1 potted fern.
No, Mushnik. 2 gladiolas and 1 fern.
Comedy gold.
Okay, so we have a schlocky B-movie horror comedy that didn't even do that well at the time. Big deal, right? Well, as discussed before on this channel, the power a cult movie can have is determined by how much love the community grows for it. And just like Seymour's killer plant, this murderous movie grew and grew over time. I get it. I mean, I could see why people in the 60s and 70s had fun with this film. This was, however, partially to blame for its television run, which got more eyes on it than ever. And why this movie in particular? Well, there was this little no-named actor at the time who was in a scene. His name, Jack Nicholson. Yeah, he had a brief appearance in this random-ass movie before he got famous, and naturally with his rise to prominence, this film rode the coattails. And with that attention, 2 graduates of the BMI workshop, the same place that would result in Avenue Q later on, took notice of the B-movie. Composer Alan Menken and lyricist Howard Ashman saw potential in a musical that satirizes the cheesy horror films of the time. So, they got to work on an off-Broadway production of Little Shop of Horrors. Yeah, you heard me right, smallest of the small. It admittedly gutted a lot from the original Corman production, for better to be honest, and we will get to that in a sec. The main thing taken away though, at least from the critics at the time, was the messaging of the story. While the original 1960s version didn't have much to offer in terms of takeaways or lessons, Ashman and Menken saw an outlet to show lower class struggles and what someone would do to claw their way out. More to be discussed later, but you see it, right? Someone offered a chance at fame and getting out of hell off of the backs of others. Anyways, it did result in the musical becoming an off-Broadway staple to this day, and got its original producer, David Geffen, on the hunt for a movie adaptation. Side note, this is just a small footnote in David Geffen's career, who has been named one of the most powerful gay men in American history. Apparently, he was accused of insider trading by the SEC during the Activision Blizzard merger with Microsoft, which is such a weird thing to connect back to this movie. But I digress. Spielberg and Scorsese were the original frontmen to helm this movie, but a lawsuit involving Griffith from the OG movie cockblocked the production, so it was then handed over to Frank Oz, you know, the puppeteer.
Who?
What?
Who is Frank Oz?
Oh, come on, Frank Oz, you know, Bert from Sesame Street.
What the hell is Sesame Street?
You know, the PBS show? Huh. Yoda?
Oh, Yoda. Yeah, okay. I know who Yoda is.
Right. Initially, Oz wasn't interested after directing Muppets Take Manhattan, but he found his own angle to the story that intrigued him. An angle that, after watching the film, definitely feels right at home with someone so close to the Muppets. And I know this is probably the version most of you have seen, but let's briefly look at 1986's Little Shop of Horrors. I'm not going to beat around the bush with this one. This version of the story is light years better than the 1960s version. Unlike the first film that was a legitimate B-movie of the time, 1986's Little Shop is satirizing B-movie stories from that era, still without treading the same ground as before. Gone are the detectives and side characters and gags that don't really enhance the plot, and in their place we find a compelling musical about ambition through this campy lens. Little Shop of Horrors makes sure you understand early on how crappy Skid Row is, and in turn how miserable Seymour and Audrey are. Yeah, they actually focus a lot on Audrey as well, the woman from the first movie, making her a victim of constant abuse and someone Seymour can justify his actions for. The temptation and motivation is there, and thanks to these killer over-the-top performances, I was hooked. And it's not bloated too, it's a very cut and dry cast, each with a clear and distinct purpose, and basically the same runtime. For example, Mushnick in this version not only serves his same role from the original, but also as the second kill. This way, it ties up that loose end the original struggled on while also affecting the conscience of Seymour more effectively. Speaking of which, I haven't even talked about the music yet. Menken and Ashman go for a 50s doo-wop angle for the production, which fits perfectly for the satirization. By definition, it is dated, just like the dated B-movie it's written for, but it feels timeless all the same. Skid Row, Dentist, and Suddenly Seymour function as very catchy homages to 50s and 60s pop, but also let the movie leap out of the screen. Little Shop of Horrors, regardless what version you are talking about, is a larger-than-life story that doesn't take itself too seriously. What applies to the 1960s version goes tenfold here. I mean, we got a giant puppet plant talking and singing, which, as a fan of puppets, is so cool. Like, did you know that the biggest form of Audrey 2 took 60 puppeteers to work? And on top of that, they didn't even use green or blue screens to achieve any of the motions. The only after effect they used was the playback speed to make some of the motions more convincing. That's insane and true dedication to the vision. Little details like that make the movie pop, so why not go even further and make it a musical? The moment these words are too much for normal chatting, that's when the movie decides it's time for another number, which is just a hallmark of a great musical. And yeah, I truly think this is a fantastic one. Oz crafts a feature that does justice to the source material and expands upon it. I truly love this because it's an example of looking back on the past and improving on something that had greater potential. We all, myself included, complain about remakes throwing the same stuff at us again and again. But I think the most fun an audience and a maker can have is giving ideas that have merit a second go around. Little Shop is that, and is one of the greats because of it. Though, I think what makes it even better depends on what ending you watch. Yeah, there's two of them, and one of them is way superior than the other, and I'll let you guys watch that one on your own. 1986's Little Shop would go on to double its budget and be a major success. It skyrocketed the talents attached to the film, mainly Ashman and Menken. Enough so that Disney caught wind of the duo through Geffen being friends with Jeffrey Katzenberg, who was still at Disney at the time. The Mouse brought them in to help with their upcoming productions. After a stint with 1988's Oliver and Company, Disney was in desperate times and needed a home run. Seeing talent in the two, they gave them the choice to work on their next film. That film would be 1989's The Little Mermaid, which ushered in the Disney Renaissance and practically saved the company. But that's a story for another day. So we went from a B-movie that came out from a drunken weekend to a film that practically gifted Disney another chance at life. I truly think that there is something beautiful in that revelation, revitalizing a flawed but charming concept into another idea that keeps going and going. Creatives stand on the shoulders of giants, and there's always a reason to look back, because you never know what you're going to find in the rafters of inspiration. And who knows, what you create might inspire those who come after you to make something even better. So yeah, go get drunk with a friend and come up with something crazy and fun. Yeah, that's the moral to take away from all this.